This is about dignity. This is about safety and health. This is about fairness.
If you're a renter in Spokane, a new eviction prevention program aims to help you stay in your home. We break down the ordinance that passed just a few hours ago. Plus, a mountain lion spotted on a local college campus. We show you where it's still roaming tonight.
Drier weather returns to the inland northwest, but that means fog and temps on the rise.
Good evening. We're glad you're with us for the KREM 2 Night Report. I'm Sydney Schofield. Just hours ago, the Spokane City Council passed an ordinance they say will help renters avoid evictions. The new program will start this summer. KREM 2's Connor McAvoy reports tonight.
Prepare to vote.
With a 5-2 vote, Spokane City Council passed an ordinance designed to build relationships between landlords and their tenants if they receive a notice to pay or vacate. It's called the Pathway for Eviction Diversion Program. It would be run through the city and the Division of Housing and Human Services. It's designed to streamline the process for tenants to get the money needed to prevent being evicted. Once a landlord sends an eviction notice, a tenant has 5 days to send a written notice to their landlord to participate in the program and then go over what options they have. Alyssa Hensley was one of several who spoke on the ordinance during Monday night's meeting. She says it's designed to bridge a gap in knowledge for tenants who don't know what housing assistance they qualify for.
Those programs do exist to help people, and it is to try to get the money through so that the landlords can get paid, but it can be hard to find that information.
According to the ordinance, landlords give their tenant 30 days before they can continue the eviction process. The city is responsible for listing several organizations providing pre-eviction services that don't involve going to court. If a landlord fails to do this, the tenant could stop their eviction. Steve Wareham with the Rental Housing Association of Washington says for many landlords, this delay is unacceptable.
For many small rental housing providers, delays like this is not theoretical. A few months without rent can be the difference between keeping the property and having to sell it.
There are exceptions to the ordinance, including if there are health and safety risks, threat of harm, and criminal activity. Councilmember Paul Dillon, who sponsored the ordinance, says it's a positive step to help people who need assistance but don't know what steps to take.
This is about dignity. This is about safety and health. This is about fairness. And this is about raising the standard for housing justice in Spokane.
The council president, Betsy Wilkerson, argued over time it will only stall money problems and not fix them long term.
This will help delay, but it doesn't really get to the root of costs are so high, our people cannot afford them. So we can do that temporarily, and then they might be back in the same place.
The ordinance will go into effect on June 1st. Councilmember Dillon says the resources will be available on the city's website for tenants and landlords at a later date. Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Omak police are asking for your help finding a missing 12-year-old boy. We want to show you this picture here. Nicky Balboni was last seen on January 29th in the Omak area. He's 12 years old, 5'2", 110 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. Police say if you see Balboni, they ask you to call 911. Idaho Fish and Game is looking for a young mountain lion that's roaming on a college campus here in the inland northwest. The mountain lion was spotted on the Lewis Clark College campus in Lewiston late last night. Surveillance footage later showed the mountain lion near the ticket booth by the baseball field. Fish and Game, campus security staff, and Lewiston police all searched the area but did not find the big cat. All right, let's turn our attention to the forecast now. We had a little bit of rain passing through today. Tomorrow, another mild day, very warm for this time of year, Jeremy.
Yeah, it was kind of incredible. Look at this. The fog already socking in much of downtown, and we sit at 38 degrees. Dew point, 36. That temp and dew point are going to play a little cat and mouse game tonight. The dew point's going to drop, the temperature is going to drop. That's going to get us close to freezing, and it's likely going to create a little more patchy, dense fog this evening. We're seeing it pop up around the region, and eventually it does take over. Temperatures are going to continue to fall back into the mid-30s tonight. I bottomed us at around 35, so I do think we stay above freezing, but that visibility is likely going to suffer. I think tomorrow morning we wind up watching it drop down near a quarter of a mile, especially out in Airway Heights. But by the middle of the day, it should move out, and we should actually wind up seeing some sunshine. Because of that, 46 degrees where I'm putting us for our high temperature. Wednesday. I'm already getting ahead of myself. Monday's easy to get through. Wednesday, the sun should come out earlier. Our temperatures should get a little warmer. Climbing up 48, 51 by Thursday as sunshine dominates.
Jeremy, thank you. It is time for your Night Beat with a quick look at today's top stories. Today, Spokane City Council agreed to continue the conversation about the immigration enforcement free zones, that ordinance. City leaders say it's meant to promote trust and safety in the community amid the immigration operations happening across the country. Documents say the ordinance is meant to ensure city-owned property is not used to support immigration enforcement without a judicial warrant. The ordinance claims to protect immigrants and refugees and claims to decrease incidents of profiling. City Council will continue to work out all the details of the ordinance. They did not take any formal action today. Also today at that City Council meeting, Spokane Police Chief Kevin Hall apologized for his officers who wore masks at last week's protest for Alex Preddy.
Last Wednesday, a mistake was made at a public demonstration where we had plainclothes officers in the demonstration wearing masks. It won't happen again. We made very clear to every single member of the police department, all 454 of them, what the expectations are when it comes to wearing face coverings.
Now, last week, hundreds of protesters marched from Riverfront Park to the Spokane County Courthouse to honor the ICU nurse that was killed by Border Patrol in Minneapolis on January 26th. Today, Spokane Mayor Lisa Brown called on Congress to help protect Haitians living and working in Spokane and across the country. She says she's looking for protection for the roughly 500 Haitians who call Spokane home. They were scheduled to lose their temporary protected status, or TPS, under the Trump administration on February 3rd, although late today, a judge put that move on hold. TPS is a government protection that allows non-citizens to live and work in the U.S. if their home country is unsafe. Mayor Brown sent a letter to Spokane's congressional delegation this afternoon. She called that program more than just a policy. She said it was a lifeline to people escaping humanitarian crises, natural disasters, and political instability. An immigrant living in Spokane whose detention sparked protests and arrests downtown has been released. Former City Councilman Ben Stuckert posted on his Facebook page tonight that Josuar Torres is no longer being held at the Tacoma Detention Center. Stuckert's post says he was released after 7 months when a judge ruled his detention was illegal. Last June, Torres and another Venezuelan immigrant were detained by ICE in Spokane, which eventually led to protests and the arrests of 30 people. Spokane County is putting the finishing touches on designs for a new recovery center aimed at helping people struggling with mental health and addiction. The New Path Diversion and Recovery Center will expand on Spokane County's Stabilization Center. So right now, the county's regional behavioral health staff says they say that law enforcement often has limited options when someone is experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis. The new facility is meant to change that. The county says the center will provide short-term mental health stabilization, 23-hour crisis care, and sobering services. The $5.2 million project is funded by Spokane County's share of opioid settlement dollars. The investment was made to expand local crisis and treatment services. Today, that a 79-year-old man died in a single car crash on US 95 north of Athol. The man was driving a Jeep Wrangler. ISP says troopers responded to the crash just before 8 o'clock this morning. An ambulance took the man to Kootenai County Health, where he was pronounced dead. ISP is still investigating this crash. That's it for your Night Beat. If you want more information on any of these stories, just head to our website, KREM.com. Two former Eastern Washington Eagles will be on opposite sidelines in the Super Bowl this weekend. KREM 2's Caitlin Galloway spoke with Eastern head coach Aaron Best about the impact they had on him and on the program.
Former Eastern Washington receivers Cooper Kupp and Efton Chisholm made a name for themselves here at Roos Field in Cheney. Now this weekend they'll share the same field again, this time on the NFL's biggest stage. Although the two didn't play at Eastern together, head coach Aaron Best says there's a lot they have in common.
Once you saw each of them practice at the level and the professionalism they practiced at, you knew the greatness was going to come.
They were both overlooked coming out of high school, and while Efton's whole career is ahead of him as an NFL rookie, Cooper Kupp has proven his greatness at football's highest level. He's been the league's Offensive Player of the Year and a Super Bowl MVP with the LA Rams. Best says not only is Kupp elite on the field, he's just as good at the things that don't show up on a stat sheet.
Coop has it, and it's all caps. What I mean by that, he just gets it. Spatial awareness, understanding that he's going to be selfless in his approach to block, because probably 2 plays later on third down, he's going to be expected to come down with a big third down.
Seeing Kupp's success helped guide Chisholm at Eastern several years later.
He chased Cooper in a lot of categories, knowing that he probably was never going to reach Cooper in any of them, but it didn't deter his belief, motivation, and dedication to his teammates.
While the work ethic and leadership of both players stands out to best, the thing he remembers most about Chisholm, other than his contagious smile, was him being ready to make the most out of every chance he got.
I don't think he's ever whiffed on an opportunity. I think he's been prepared, and whatever happens, happens. He's a man of faith, and I think he stands on those things, that whatever is supposed to happen is going to happen.
Best says he won't be rooting for a specific team in the Super Bowl, but he's excited to celebrate Eagles' success, especially when it means cheering for two players who made such a huge impact on him and on Eastern Washington football.
You guys are great men. You guys are great people, and you're great players playing on the biggest stage. So best of luck to both of you. You'll never be forgotten at Cheney.
The Super Bowl kicks off on February 8th at 3:30 p.m. In Cheney, Caitlin Galloway, KREM 2 Sports.
Coming up just a little later on the Night Report, our Super Bowl coverage continues. We'll show you how the Seahawks spent the day after arriving in California. That's ahead in 20 minutes. And tomorrow, the Spokane Ag Show kicks off at the Convention Center. What you can expect to see there, that's in 10 minutes. Plus, the Clintons responded to the House's request for them to testify about the Epstein files. We'll tell you what they said after the break.